Hi everybody, my name is Nicole. Thank you for watching my discussion board, and I'm sorry for the way I am speaking and some words I might jumble upon. As an adult, I just got braces and they're brand new, so thank you for hanging in there with me. With that being said, I am Nicole and I will be discussing Frank Lambert's article, Peddler in Divinity, George Whitefield and the Great Awakening, 1737 to 1745. To begin, I wanted to introduce who George Whitefield was and what he did prior. So, Whitefield was an Anglican minister of one of the most influential figures of the 18th century Great Awakening. Known for his powerful preaching and emotional appeal, he traveled extensively throughout Britain and the American colonies, drawing massive crowds. Whitefield helped transform revivalism into a widespread religious movement by using tools such as print media and promotional strategies that aided in the spreading of his message of personal salvation and spiritual rebirth. So, according to Lambert, Whitefield arrived in Lewistown, Pennsylvania on October 30th, 1739, bringing with him several boxes of books and pamphlets, including Benjamin Jenks' Prayers and Offices of Devotion for Family, and John Flavel's Husbandry Spiritualized. Lambert argues that Whitefield's cargo of religious literature reflected his deep engagement with a highly commercialized culture. So this is what gave him the tools to craft his new religious narrative, which was then known as modern revivalism. Whitefield was now prepared to publicize his revivals, promoting a shared sense of community religion, which Lambert referred to Whitefield as an entrepreneur that closely linked him to other popular evangelists like Charles Granson, Finney, or Billy Graham. Lambert presents Whitefield as a kind of religious marketeer who used print advertisements, advanced planning, and very dramatic delivery of his preachings to stir public interest and attract those large audiences. At the time of Whitefield's arrival in Pennsylvania and the Middle Colonies were experiencing a rapid population growth. Historian Jessica Parr did note that the colony's emphasis on religious toleration made it an especially fertile ground for Whitefield's challenge to both religious and civil authority. Whitefield's initiative approach to evangelism effectively turned him into a distinct brand of religious leadership, much like how public figures and organizations build recognizable brands today. McDonald's, that's the first one that came to mind, things like that. His strategic use of print media, emotional preaching, and public presence made it easier to gather that loyal following. Crowds were drawn to not only his message, but also to the public persona that he was cultivating, making him a rallying figure in the time for religious change. So Lambert argues that Whitefield's popularity challenged traditional church authority and reshaped how religious functioned in colonial society. By going around traditional clergy and speaking directly to ordinary people, Whitefield transformed religious authority from church leaders to the general public, thus encouraging individuals to take personal responsibility for their spiritual lives. And then furthermore, the Great Awakening wasn't just local. It was a transatlantic movement, and Whitefield was its central figure. Lambert also notes that Whitefield's revivals linked Britain and the American colonies in a shared religious experience. It was reinforcing the idea of a transatlantic movement. And Joseph Bleacher argues with Lambert's assertions. He agrees with Lambert's assertions, stating that Whitefield moved their kingdom into a transatlantic colony, proving the power of the gospel and how it adapts to every civilized man. So Lambert's portrait of Whitefield reveals that the Great Awakening was not only a spiritual renewal, but also a media-savvy campaign that reshaped how religion interacted with print culture, um, public life, gathering, and things of that nature. And I want to remind you in Romans 10:17, it says, "So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God." And that's our English Standard Bible 2021. So I really think that that verse goes with my article that I was reading, because George Whitefield did make a large presence, and he was spreading the gospel the best he knew how, and he was the first of his kind to do that. So I hope that you could dig deeper into this. I had a lot of fun doing it. And maybe it resonates with you in a different way for a different Bible verse, but that Romans 10:17 really stuck out with me. So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Thank you.